We had a little. I think what happened was we was just tearing up the airwaves right now with all of the amazing information people were getting from Mark, the fun coach. If you're joining Mark, if you're just joining tonight's broadcast, live event on Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, 5 pages on Facebook. The day tonight is Q&A about nonprofit fundraising with yours truly, Mark Duncan, the fun coach. If you got a Q&A, reach out, put it in the comments, we'll get it. Or just tell me you want to hop on real quick and talk to Mark. I'll send you the link, bam, bring you in, and you can ask Mark anything under the sun that you want. Totally free. Mark, thanks again. We were streaming. We had a lot of people between all the platforms. We had a lot of people on burning up. I think what happened, I don't know. They just crushed my CPU in my computer. Fundraising, are people scared, and why are they nonprofits? Are they scared, and why are they scared to ask for money?
Yeah, and as I was saying earlier, that it's, a lot of it has to do with our own personal relationship with money, right? And so if we can allow that, to just move that out of the way, right? And recognize that you may have some shortfalls there that are getting in the way, right? Then just recognize that and understand that the people that you're talking to that have capacity, they go to sleep, they wake up, they put their pants on one leg at a time, just like you do. They're human beings, and so they just, have capacity to be able to support your organization. And if you do all the right things, making the case and bringing them closer to the organization, and you'll know when they're ready, to give. And that's kind of where I was going also with the art of it. So each donor, while there's a process that I describe called moves management, each person, each donor is going to respond differently to that. And so it's not cookie cutter, right? You may meet with somebody for the first time and they may say to you, oh, well, that's great. How can I help you? I always say, don't ask for money on the first visit, but be ready, right? So, so when you go in and you're talking and your whole objective is to just get to know them and for them to get to know you and your organization, some of them may say, well, how can I help you? Right? What can I do for you? Right? And, if you know what that is, don't be afraid to ask them. That just means that, look, you don't need to spend all this time cultivating me and bringing me along. I'm here. I'm ready. Ask me now. Right. So everybody's different. You just need to be prepared for every situation. That's the art of it.
So let's do, and if you don't mind, I don't want to dig too far into your program and your training. Let's do a dry run real quick, if you don't mind.
Okay.
I'm the nonprofit, or you're the nonprofit, and I'm gonna follow you. You tell me what you do.
Right. And of course, this is the role play, right? All right. So here we go. Hey, Ivan, what's happening? How are you doing?
I'm wonderful, Mark. How's everything?
It's been great. Oh, let me emphasize something, because I don't want people to think that this is my first meeting with Ivan. So let's make some assumptions. Okay. I have not only met with Ivan, I already, I know exactly what I'm going to be asking him for and what I want it to support. So I always talk about this thing called the 6 rights, right? Successful relationship fundraising is the right person asking the right prospect to support the right project at the right amount, at the right time, and in the right way.
Okay. If you're watching this right now, I need you to share this to your friend in the nonprofit world. Mark is about to give you for totally free right now some amazing advice. I don't know if you just caught that. One more time, Mark.
I'm gonna do it again. I call it the 6 rights. Man. It's so successful relationship fundraising is the right person asking the right prospect to support the right project for the right amount at the right time and in the right way, right? So before I'm about to do this role play with you, I've already figured out all of those rights.
Okay.
Okay.
Did your homework.
So here we are. It's time for me to ask. Okay. Hey, Ivan, how you doing?
Mark, I'm wonderful. How are you?
I'm doing well. It's a pleasure to be with you again. I want to thank you for the time that you have spent with me, learning about our organization. It really means the world. I know your time is valuable, and I really, really appreciate you showing so much interest in our mission and the work that we do.
Oh, no problem. Thank you for inviting me along the journey to understand more about your mission and your goals.
Yeah. So as you know, we are right now looking to raise dollars to support our annual operations. We have a goal this year of $100,000 that we need to raise. To date, we've raised about 30,000 of that, so we have about $7,000 more, $70,000 more to go. And so, what I would like to know on behalf of our organization is if you would be willing to support our annual fund with a gift of $7,500.
Yes.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Now,
That's wonderful.
If the person says no, right, what is your comeback? So, would you
Right.
support for 7,500? Well, Mark, 7,500 right now is might be an issue.
Yeah. So usually one of three things happens.
Okay.
Right? They say yes.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And I'll talk about that. What happens when they, because sometimes we lose our minds when they say yes, and sometimes we forget to do stuff, right? But they'll say yes, they'll say no, which really means not now.
Right.
Right. Okay. Which means all of those rights weren't all right. This wasn't the right time. Right. Or they may say, I need to think about it. Right. And in conjunction with that need to think about it, there may be, a counter offer, if you will. Right. So let's talk about when someone says yes, which is exciting, right? First thing you're going to say is thank you. This is going to mean so much to our organization, so much to the people that we serve. How would you like to go about handling that? Right. So that's really important, because a lot of times we walk out of a meeting, we shake hands, we say thank you, and we forget to close the deal. Right. It's one thing to make the ask and have someone say yes. It's another thing to actually close the deal. So now you've got to figure out the details. I can't tell you how many times I have had people come back to my office and said, yeah, they said yes, right? It was a 6-figure ask. They said yes. I said, great. What's next? And they either forgot to talk about details, or said something like, oh, I'll send a check to you, and we just let that go. Right. And no, don't do that. Always, always, always be responsible for the next move. Right. And so if they say yes, and you ask them how they'd like to take care of it, they may say, I'll do a check. You say, great. When would you like to do that? They'll tell you, well, I can mail it to you if that's okay. That would be good. If it would be easier for you, I'd be happy to save you a stamp and actually pick it up, from your place of business or your home. Would that be okay? Sure, that would be fine. Great. When would be, and this is the most, if there anybody who's watching this right now, if there's one thing you take from this, is asking this very, very powerful question when you are actually meeting with donors, and particularly making that ask, and you're in that sort of limbo phase, and there's another step. And the question is this: when would be a good time to follow up? Right? That's a very powerful question, right? It puts it in their court, but you're taking the responsibility to make sure that this next step happens. And they may say, well, I think, next week would be good. Well, great. Today's Thursday. How about I give you a call Thursday morning? Do you have any time at around 10 o'clock? Yeah, I should be free at 10 o'clock. Great. I'm gonna send you, if you don't mind, a meeting request just to reserve that time on your calendar. Would that be okay? Yeah, sure, that's fine. Now, not only do you have the next step, you're locked in, it's on their calendar, and you're responsible for making that move, whether it's a phone call or meeting them to pick up the check, right? When we sit back and wait, a lot of times we've got all these good things moving and happening, and then we're sitting back and waiting for the next move. So if there's anything you take from this, you be responsible for the next move and execute that next move. And so yeah. So if somebody says yes, that's what you do. If someone says, I need time to think about it, it's, that's the question. Okay, understood. When would be a good time to follow up? And then you do the same thing I just described so that you can get back in front of them, or if it's a phone call. And that creates, sort of this arbitrary deadline that they've now agreed to. In fact, they suggested it without even realizing. And now when you call them, they're likely going to have an answer for you, whether they have to talk to their spouse or they just need to figure, something out. They should be ready with an answer, and then you take the next steps to make sure you close the deal. So that's really, really, really important.
Nice. Okay. Mark, I think we hit a lot tonight. We gave people a lot tonight for the last 45 minutes. Give them your address and all your stuff real quick. And let's come back next week and do this again.
Absolutely. You can find me at thefundcoach.com. You can find me on Facebook at Mark L. Duncan. Those are probably the two best places to grab me. Also, I'm on LinkedIn, Mark L. Duncan. I'm on Twitter at The Fund Coach. I'm on Instagram, Mark the Fund Coach. So feel free to hit me up there. If you have any questions, inbox me, friend me. Happy to. And I'm looking forward to coming back and talking again and answering any questions people have.
All right. If you got a question real quick, we got room for one more question. All right. We asked about 30 of them. We digging in this thing, Hey Doris, how you doing? I hope all is well. You got a question for Mark, Doris? I'll send you the link real quick. You can log on and bam, make it happen. But Mark, I think we did a lot tonight. We definitely helped nonprofits, and let me ask you this: what are some of the questions? Okay, here we go. I got one for you from Doris. Before we get into that, ready? Here we go. Doris says, "You see it?"
Yep, I see it. Yep, coins. I love it. So her question is about training, board members. This is really easy, believe it or not, right? Because your board members don't necessarily have to ask, right? They are door openers. So if they have a network, and that network are folks with capacity, then all they're doing is getting permission from them to connect with you as the executive director. That can happen in a couple of ways. It can simply be a phone call. Hey, I'd love to talk with you about this organization that I'm involved in. Do you have a few minutes to chat? I'd love to introduce you to the executive director. Would you be willing to do that? Boom, that's it. And then you as the executive director can follow up, or that board member can sort of, broker that meeting, right? So it starts out with 3 of you, and then the board member steps out, right? It's really, really that simple, to leverage their network. So I don't know what else to say beyond that. It's they don't have to ask. And also, here's the thing I hear most. A lot of board members say, well, I don't want to share my network because I'm afraid of what you're going to say or how much you're going to ask for. And I don't want, them to blame me. Well, if that happens, then you aren't doing it right. You aren't connecting with them. You aren't helping them understand your mission and how it's impacting lives. Because if you do the right things in terms of that moves management that I talked about earlier, and you follow the 6 rights that I mentioned, you won't have that problem, right? You'll likely get that gift and you'll be thanking your board member for introducing them. And quite frankly, that donor may be thanking your board member for saying, you know what, this is a really great cause. I'm so glad I got involved. And I want to stay connected. And so it really is that simple. I do train boards. I have a whole process that I, sort of walk them through, some of which I've covered here tonight. But when I'm with boards, then I can answer those specific questions that board members have to sort of demystify this whole idea of raising money and asking people, for dollars. One more thing I want to say that I didn't say at the outset of this that I hope will help those who are watching, and that is when you take a look at fundraising in general. So Giving USA, which collects all this data around fundraising, they every year they come out with information, and the latest was from 2019. 2020's data is not out yet. It'll be out in late spring. But in 2019, $450 billion was given to U.S. charities. $450 billion. And when you count bequest, almost 80% of that $450 billion came from people, individuals, not corporations, not foundations, people, right? So I want to leave that with you as a point of perspective so that you understand and know that, the highest return on your investment is the time that you spend with people who have capacity that you connect with, and you will see, and it is much more sustainable. So I just want to leave you with that, and you can look that up on givingusa.org or .com. I'm not sure what the exact address is, and you'll see that information right there. But I want to emphasize that most giving comes from people, and we need to remember that.
There you go. The human side of asking. Gotta love it. And philanthropy through just the state of being kind and being generous, but most of all being personable. Mark, thank you so much. I really appreciate your time and space. The Fun Coach. Check Mark out on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. And Doris said, thank you.
You're welcome, Doris. Happy to connect if you'd like to talk further.
Awesome. Doris, have a great night. Put the name of your nonprofit. If you're watching, put the name of your nonprofit. Hit the like button, subscribe, follow us on YouTube. This is DETV and the Fun Coach, and we are doing some stuff to make sure that your nonprofit wins. It's all about
one more thing I want to say.
Uh-huh.
I do offer complimentary strategy sessions. You can go to my website, you can sign up, pick a time slot, and we will hop on a call and we'll talk specifically about your nonprofit.
Love it. Mark, shout out to James Duncan. Said, good work, gentlemen. Shout out. Delaware birthday.
It's always good to get accolades.
James Rhodes, Christiana. Let's give these nonprofits some love real quick. All right, bam. Hold on, let me get rid of this right here. Meredith, Delaware birthday wishes. James Ray Rhodes, Christiana Culture Arts Center. Oh, awesome. love them. Doris Griffin, Delaware Adolescent Program Incorporated and Friends, DAPI, www.dapi.org. Yep. Love you guys for what you guys are doing in the community, because that shows a lot about where your heart is. And may God keep you. I don't want to close this out like this is church. May God keep you. God bless you all the nonprofits in your hearts. Mark, let's do this next week.
Absolutely. I'll be here.
All right. Have a great night, guys.
All right.
And ladies.